y'all know today I'm gonna be doing a review of On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. So I actually listened to this on audio, so I don't have a physical copy, but I did find this. So I'm gonna use this and pretend it's the book. I mean, it is the cover, kind of. So I haven't done a review in a really long time. I did do a review for The Hate You Give, and I loved On the Come Up so much more than The Hate You Give, and I already love The Hate You Give so much. There's definitely gonna be spoilers towards the end of the video, so if you haven't read the book yet, you can definitely stay now, but later on, you might want to leave. On the Come Up is about Bree. She does live in Garden Heights, just like Star. Her father was murdered when she was very little, and he was on his way to become a legendary rapper. She wants to step in his footsteps and also be a legendary rapper. This book also deals with racism, poverty, police brutality, sexism in the rap industry, complex relationships between family members and friends. There's a lot in this book. Even if you're not a rap fan, if you don't like hip hop, there's something in this book for everybody. I listened to the audiobook and the audiobook was so amazing. Oh my gosh, the narrator actually rapped. There was various parts throughout the book where Bree would rap something and the narrator actually started rapping during those parts. In the beginning, one of the very first chapters is Bree goes to this rap battle and the narrator actually raps the rap battle, and it added so much more to the scene. It's one thing to read the rap battle, it's another thing to hear it. It felt like I was watching this amazing rap battle with my eyes closed. Like, it was the coolest thing ever. I highly recommend you check out the audiobook because it's one of the best audiobooks I have ever listened to, and I've listened to over 100 audiobooks, so that says a lot. I'm not a fan of rap and hip hop. It's not my style of music. Nothing against it. It's just not my cup of tea. But now I really want to listen to rap and hip hop music after reading this book. Bree is so passionate about hip hop music. So much of this book is about her wanting to be a rapper, and I could tell that it was Angie Thomas's love letter to rap music. If you're not a rap fan, you don't need to be, but I definitely think if you do love rap, it's even sweeter. One of my favorite things about this book was the friendship dynamic. Bree has two best friends, Sunny and Malik, and they have been best friends since they were little kids. Their dynamic is amazing. Sometimes it's hilarious. Sometimes they do clash, but they're such amazing friends, and I really, really love that. There's a romance that does arise in this book, and I definitely think it wasn't really necessary. I mean, it was really cute, and I definitely shipped it, but if it wasn't in the book, that would have been fine too. I loved The Hate You Give so much. I thought it was pure perfection and an instant classic. The Hate You Give was such perfection. I never thought Angie Thomas could do better, but she did. On the Come Up is so strong. The writing, the character dynamic. One of the best things that Angie Thomas does, also in The Hate You Give she did, is she does such a nuanced perspective of all of these tough topics. She never points fingers at anybody. There's never a villain in the story. The villain is very much the corrupt system and the way it's set up. That's about it for the spoiler-free review of this section. So if you have not read the book, definitely leave now. But if you have, continue along. So this is going to be a bit out of order. I was mostly taking notes whenever I would remember something that I wanted to talk about, I would just write it down. So I apologize if this is out of order. One of my favorite scenes ever in the book is the Mario Kart scene. I love the scene when Sunny, Malik, and Bree are all playing Mario Kart, and I think it's Malik, or maybe it was Sunny. One of them throws like the red shells. If you play Mario Kart, you know what I'm talking about, the red shells at Bree, and she like loses the race and she's like yelling at them and like, how dare you throw the red shells at me? Like, I thought we were friends. It's the funniest thing ever, and I really love that scene because it shows how close they are to each other and how much they care about each other, but at the same time they can goof off and mess around, be petty, and throw red shells at each other because you know what? All is fair in Mario Kart. I loved that. I also really loved her complicated relationship with her mom. So throughout the book, she calls her mom Jay. She doesn't call her mom. I really love how at the end of the book, she calls her mom, and that's such a significant moment for her because she finally starts to see Jay as her mom. It's definitely a really tough scene, but I really enjoyed it. The food stamp scene when Bree goes to the Civic Center with her mom to collect food from their food stamps for their Christmas dinner, and she meets Supreme there. And that moment when she sees Tim's and she really wants them, but she realizes that somebody else should probably get them. That scene was just so powerful. I really love how in that moment Bree realizes that they do really need this food and they really can't do without this food, but there's still this level of like shame of how frustrated she was of her brother doing everything right. Like her brother was a straight A student and he went to a really good college and he graduated, and then he comes back home and he can't find a job. She talks about how all the drug dealers in her neighborhood are actually doing really well. It's the people who aren't drug dealers that are struggling. I loved her relationship with her brother. Like when her mom left and it was just her brother and her grandparents, Trey really took care of her, and because of that she really looks up to her brother and she really admires and loves him, and I really love their relationship. And also Trey was just great. He was such a great character. Like he was so cool. Like I want to be friends with someone like him. Like he seems awesome. When the hype interview happened, I was so pissed off. Like he was being so sexist and mean to her, and it just pissed me off so much. I hate like how like Supreme totally brushed it off and was acting like a hood rat. Good job! That's exactly what I told you to do. And he was just completely dismissing how pissed off she was and how justifiably pissed off she was. He was like, yeah, he just pushes people's buttons. Not just pushing people's buttons, like he was actually extremely sexist and really rude. Insinuating that Bree doesn't write her own songs. No one's believing that you're strapped up like backpacks. Really highlighted the sexism in the rap industry. Really loved Aunt Pooh. She was such a complex character. It's like on one hand you want to get mad at her because she went to jail and the only thing she's worried about in jail is getting Bree's chain back and making them pay for what they did, when she really should be worried about getting out of jail, you know? She was so supportive of Bree with her rap career. Whenever her family needed something, Aunt Pooh was there. I really, really loved that. Aunt Pooh is one of my favorite characters. First, we think Supreme is like he's such a great guy and he's just gonna support Bree and he's gonna make her big. And then he kind of turns into a bit of a villain. Like, he asks her to come in and he makes her rap this song that's not only extremely sexist, but somebody else wrote for her, and he's like, nah, it's fine, this is what you have to do. The moment when she realized that she was only there in the studio to entertain these producers, they expected her to entertain them in how they wanted to be entertained, not necessarily caring about what she wanted to say or do with her career. And that part was so heartbreaking. And she justifiably was pissed off and objected to singing that song. The producer was like, oh yeah, I love sassy black women. Thanks. Yeah, this is what I want. And then I love that discussion where she talks about how problematic and toxic that phrasing is. My favorite storylines as well was Sunny. I love that Sunny was gay and he did kind of like a Love Simon storyline, and there's actually a specific reference to Love Simon. I don't know if anybody else caught it, but there's this part where Sunny says, I read this book about two boys falling in love through email and it gave me hope for us. And considering Angie Thomas and Becky Albertalli are amazing friends, I have no doubt that that was a Love Simon reference. And I love that Sunny kind of went down that route. When he started talking to Rapid and they started really like falling for each other, I was completely shocked to see that it was Miles. I never saw that coming. He was just such an adorable cinnamon roll. I love how she talked about like when she first found out that Sunny was gay, that he had like the biggest crush on Justin Bieber and he was like a hardcore believer, and he told her that. Oh my god. And then when she mentions that he switched over to Shawn Mendes and he's now like a Shawn Mendes fanboy, I love that. It was so cute. That scene when she got robbed, I was absolutely terrified that somebody was gonna die because of what happened in the Hate You Give. I was like, oh my god, what if somebody dies? But I'm glad that everything was fine. This book was definitely a lot lighter than The Hate You Give, and even though it did have some dark moments, overall it was a lighter book than The Hate You Give. I loved On the Come. Angie Thomas has easily become one of my favorite authors, and I cannot wait to see what else she writes. Can they please make a movie for On the Come Up? I really need to see those rap battles like in a movie, because oh man, I can just see On the Come Up being such an amazing movie. Hey, somebody go and adapt On the Come Up, alright? I mean, The Hate You Give was a huge success. On the Come Up can be as well, so come on, get on it. That's all for my review. I hope you enjoyed. Comment down below your thoughts on the Come Up. Social media links are all down below. My Twitter, my Bookstagram, my Goodreads. Arrivederci!